rules. Tip the Wookiee bartenders 20%. No drugs, no bounty hunters, no Raylos. We are here for the love of Star Wars. So, no Kennedy faction Star Wars of any kind. We do this for the love of Star Wars. We don't get paid for it. We have fun here. And it's been kind of fun the last couple of days mocking the High Republic more than usual. So, yesterday, after, I don't know when they did this, but I got back and went back to Instagram and looked, and they had deleted the Lex, Giassi, Jockstrap, Leo, laxative jockstrap or whatever, G-string video. I don't know. Hey, Alex, I'm still like, I'm literally like, are you kidding me? Hey, Dakare. I gotta say this. It's not even a good it's not even a parody. It has to be a troll. I mean, if you go back and you look at that whiteboard, and you guys have seen the whiteboard with the list of things they want, things that Star Wars should have, and their kind of diversity is way up there, and Star Wars must-haves, and the Force is way down there, and like, okay, and then that we've got a list that they like to see dinosaurs in it, and so when I saw that whiteboard, I thought they've got to be trolling us. I mean, I think everybody did. I think they are too, and I've got a philosophy about that. I have a theory. But this Lex Giassi, good afternoon, John 42. And that video, I think, is proof positive that they have to know their time's up. They have to. I mean, hey, Meredith. Yay, good for you. And it's literally, they have to know time's up. I mean, first off, if you look at everything else that came before, they're all just as bad. But I don't think anything has been just as bad as this last one. It's just, yes, I sent it to Tom Connors before he put it on Midnight's Edge. So he didn't say anything about who sent it. I did, okay? Cause I went on Instagram and went, what the fuck? So while they were on, I put it on my computer and watched it, and I was like, oh my God. So I roomed it to Tom, and they, it just, it's like, God, fuck. I'm still laughing, you got, all right, first off, it's all bad. I mean, from the beginning to this, it's all bad. And, go watch Anna, that Star Wars Girls videos too, because she actually has Claudia Gray talking about her gay Han Solo. I mean, she was like, Gray is going, well, we couldn't really do another Han Solo. I mean, or even Diet Han Solo. I'm like, Diet Han Solo would have been better than this. What is this? So anyway, I know they do, and that's the only place, because Paige, it was getting killed on Insta. I commented, Tom commented, I replied to him. Pretty soon it was like, pew, 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 pew. I mean, so, they've got a bunch of these things on YouTube, but they're getting ratioed, and of course they don't want to put that on YouTube, so they tried Insta, and well, then they took it off Insta. So yeah, I think that even at the time they started this, is that this was just a a fuck you to the fans. Oh, good, Alex. I really do. I don't, when people were saying, that looks like a good idea, it's very, look, if you look at the sales of this dumpster fire, and you look at what people are saying, Disney's not, and then, the guys over at Midnight's Edge are like, well, Kennedy's faction is saying, look at what happened with this Gina Carano. And this Jon Favreau brought her in. Give us that budget. No. Why would Disney do that? They got chased off of Instagram. No, 360, that was Claudia Gray. She wrote that novel. Okay? I mean, we chased them off of Insta. And it wasn't even that hard. These guys are done. You add and Andre or Tom yesterday read the full quote, and I remember hearing it about Kennedy and Feige, and he singled her out, but literally in the same quote he mentions Jon Favreau and somebody named Sean. This is such a half-assed. Even let's look at what Gray wrote for Star Wars. She wrote Leia, Princess of Alderaan, where we got to know more about literally the worst character ever in Star Wars, Vice Admiral Gender Studies, before she was Vice Admiral Gender Studies. We discovered that Admiral Holdo obviously has a certain dysfunction in her personality, that she doesn't talk to anybody. She never lets anybody in. She keeps people away. Okay. She can't really socially talk to people. And my thing is, well, if they want to say she's on the spectrum, I guess that's fine. But it's kind of a slap in the face to people who are actually on the spectrum. And in some ways I can see that she's kind of like Kennedy, but in other ways, Ray, I think, was Kennedy's personal avatar. And I'll go in more into Kathleen in a little bit. So, Gray gave us that, and then she wrote Bloodline, Bloodline, where Leia and Han both behave like people who haven't grown up beyond the age of 12, childish. Leia can't deal with the fact that she's Anakin Skywalker's daughter. It's not. It's really funny when you look at the EU, like Tatooine Ghost, which was written by Troy Denning. Oh, and Lost Stars, which was like there was sex and it's for little kids, 12-year-olds, and I'm sorry, but this woman should not be anywhere near Star Wars, my opinion. Okay, and I stand by that. I mean it. Okay, she really shouldn't be anywhere near it. But you're kind of like, with all this. Lost Stars is just terrible. But it's when you watch, like, if you go all the way to the announcement where they had all the authors and it looked like, either the Brady Bunch or what was that, Celebrity Squares. Remember that, where everybody was in its own thing and there was always some celebrity and they were answering questions and stuff like that. It was kind of like that, and and that's the way it was a Zoom, okay. And I'm kind of like, and they were just acting very Hollywood squares, yeah. They were acting very childishly, every one of them, not very mature. Afternoon trailer, not very professional. I mean, when Gray starts, go to Anna's video and watch the whole thing. When Gray starts talking about Lex, laxative is gay, whatever the fuck he's called, he looks like a gay Matthew McConaughey, to be honest. I mean, he really does. That's Matthew McConaughey. It's. I don't think the Hasbro won't touch us with a 10-foot pole. They won't. I mean, no. I mean, they will get laughed out of existence. Who wants this shit? I mean, the fact of the matter is, when you look at what they've done, and you look at like Gray talking about how she came up with this fucking whatever he is character, and I was laughing so hard I couldn't stop, and then Rob started laughing, and I literally was doubled over. My dog's looking down at me going, "What's wrong with you?" If I was if I'd been at the barn with the horse, she'd have spooked. But when you're watching all this and you see the lack of effort put into this thing, I don't think they really gave a shit. And if you don't, I mean, they don't. They don't. I mean, let's go into the story about Into Darkness. Into Darkness. There's a collision in hyperspace. Gray doesn't know anything about hyperspace. And actually, if she called Pablo and asked him, how do I write this? Pablo doesn't either. And he's the one. He's the one that's supposed to be like like the shepherd, the know-it-all. My dog knows more about it than he does. The horse does too. You don't, I mean, what kind of a fucked up thing is that? So there's supposed to be a galactic cataclysm. And they get out of it by the quick thinking of the very overtly gay pilot, which is, I don't really care, but fuck, and his empty shell co-pilot and the quick maneuvering of their rock. Because the rock is the navigator. It's just ridiculous. There's no effort to it. I love that. But there's no effort in it. There's no, let's make this the best possible Star Wars story we can have. But then that would make him pansexual. I mean, pansexuals are people, they say. I think they're just bi. But there are people that will actually fall in love with a charger. I'm not kidding you. I mean, the fuck, man. But, you're sitting there going, this is really stupid. There's no effort to it. Oh, I know they did. I mean, I know, Pandolando. Now, John Kasdan, I think, came back, and somebody else did, and said no. I mean, and of course, when some idiot reporter asked Billy D. Williams if Lando is pansexual, and Billy D. Williams is like, I don't even know what the hell that is. It's like, look, guys, if I have to explain it to him, he's going to kill somebody. I'll do it. And then I'll just sit back and watch you all get mowed down. Okay? Because he'll go, I mean, and I wouldn't blame him. There's something about the traditional sort of outlook that older black men have that I think is really refreshing. Even if, they don't vote the way I vote. I mean, and Billy D's a great man, just like Carl Weathers, a great man. And he doesn't like this shit either. Carl Weathers doesn't. That's another story. So it really was truly a half-assed effort. And honest to God, the more I think about it, I feel like they're just giving us the finger. I really, really do. And the idea that they got Disney to pay for it, I mean, it should be criminal. Kathleen Kennedy should be brought up on criminal charges for stealing money from Disney for this shit. I'm not kidding. So, because it's not serious. It's not good Star Wars. It's just not. So let's go on to something else. How old do you think Jason Ward is? He's 42. How old do you think Brian Young is? He's 41. These two are the biggest proponents of the cult of youth in the fan base because they like little girls, and I mean underage girls. And they're supporting it. Of course, you know, I'm looking at that conversation when Harry, Mark, Billy D, George, and Iger went to the opening of Galaxy's Edge, and they're all standing there, and there's a guy named Pete Fletzer. Now, you guys might remember him. He did, I think, work at Lucasfilm at one time, and he does, I think, around the Galaxy podcast or whatever. Still, and he's, if you look at pictures of him, let's find one. I don't know his birthday because he doesn't have his birthday listed, and but he's got to be around 55 or so. Let's find him. Let's find him. Pete. It's really weird is that my maiden name is Netzer. And yeah, let's find this guy. Let's find images. So you guys tell me how old this fucker is. How old do you think he is? Huh? He's got to be older than me. What do you guys think? He's got to be older than me? Yeah. Well, they were mocking Harrison. Yeah, maybe even in his 60s. They were mocking Harrison and Mark, Billy D, and George. And, you know, when the picture first came out, people were sharing it and going, just oh god, it's so cool. They were like diabetes and all the rest of that shit. I was like, you fucking assholes. You know, I mean, Fletzer, I mean, and Ward were attacking them for being, for one better word, senior citizens. They don't know what they're doing. I mean, they should have waited until it was finished. The fact that rumors are now they're going to bring in the Mandalorian and reskin it as Tatooine, and probably bring in original trilogy characters is fantastic. I mean, if they do that I'll go. I'm serious. I will go. I would love to go to actually the cantina and hang out and do a flight of beer or a glass of wine or something, and then go to oh yeah, he has been Asia, he has been, and then go to good morning Anton, and then go to the Falcon and go on the ride there. Yeah, well, they're not gonna. I mean, Star Wars without Luke, Han, Leia, Vader, Anakin. There's a guy on YouTube. Look this up when we're done. Uh, look this. So did I, Alex. Look this up when we're done. Anakin Skywalker cosplayer and little girl. Okay, there's one that's dressed as Padme. This kid, I swear to God, when I first saw him, he had his head tilted so you couldn't see his whole face. I thought it was Hayden Christensen. I was like, holy shit. And his jaw is stronger, but he is fantastic. That is the best Star Wars cosplay I have ever seen in my life. I would get somebody like that. I get, you could, I mean, and people are like, well, no one wants to see middle-aged people dressed up. Who fucking cares? Yeah, I mean, there was one of the little girl, I mean, the little girl dressed as Padme and she wouldn't go to him. And the mom's going, oh, she knows all about you, Anakin. I was laughing my head off because it was so adorable. Yeah, yeah, Well, I mean, Clone Wars had a Wookiee youngling. I mean, a Wookiee Padawan. So, if you remember that, yeah. But so this guy's got to be what? Flitzer's got to be about in his mid 50s to 60s, right? Oh, you will have to do that. Yeah, do that, Trayla. Then I don't know. Oh, in Clone Wars, yeah, that Wookiee picked a wooden lightsaber handle. I know, I know. Well, just so I looked up Kathleen Kennedy's age, and she's 67. So she's going to be 70 in 3 years. I'm going to tell you guys something. She's 5'3". She's very tiny. I'm 5'6.5". So I'd be staring down at her going, oh, you're Kathleen Kennedy. She's a shrimp. I mean, but you've got people that are middle-aged and I'm sorry, but 40-year-olds to to 50, guys in their 50s to 60s are not young. They're not 20, okay? They're not 15. Attacking people for being older and going, and being pissed off about what they did to Star Wars. You've got a woman who's closing in on 70 years old bitching about 50-year-old fans. Hail Demanjanai. So I'm like, we have a real serious disconnect. This has more to do with the pathology of the people like Claudia Gray. Let's find out how old she is. That was something I wanted to do and I didn't do. Claudia Gray. No. Birth date. Oh, and 1970. She's 50. She's writing young adult novels. This is how bad it's gotten. Okay? She's 50 years old. She's writing young adult novels, fine. Like she's 5. And she's putting disgusting bullshit in. I mean, she's a Generation Xer. My God. I know. I mean, it's just, and she's the dumbest human being on the planet. I mean, yeah, well, all right, she's on Twitter. Dare you guys to go and say, hey, Claudia, you're HF Star Wars, you gotta go. I'm 52. You know, I mean, there you go. I mean, I don't, you know, I guess I've actually taken better care of myself or actually gave a shit. Uh, I like the fact that my husband, likes me, you know. And when I was younger, I liked the fact that men were attracted to me. That's kind of like normal because women like that, you know. Um, so, I'm like, anyway, so she's 50. Here's another one. Let's go and look up Justina Ireland. Let's see how old she is. Oh, okay, we could, is she married? Let's look. Her real name is Amy Vincent, and I'm talking about Claudia Gray right now. This stupid thing. Okay, let's see. Personal life. The only thing written is that she lives in a 100-year-old coral paint colored house in New Orleans. That's it. Oh, thanks to Manjanai. So she doesn't have any personal life, and that's it. I mean, her Wikipedia thing is very small. I mean, it's all about. Oh, and she wrote Master and Apprentice too. And then blocked me when I asked her, is there going to be any Spartan love going on? She got pissed. You know, you're not supposed to ask somebody who slips garbage like that in every one of her things questions like that because horror of horrors. Anyway, so yeah, let's see how old Justina Ireland is. Justina Ireland, we're looking for the youth vote right now. All right, let's look. Profile on Vulture. All right, let's find. I don't want that. Justina Ireland Wikipedia. That's where we go. Well, if you're talking about Claudia Gray, she's a cat lady. Look at her. All right. It doesn't say how old she is. It doesn't. And she actually enlisted in the military. Oh, for fuck's sake, she lives in York, Pennsylvania. She literally lives right down the road from me. Well, they take anybody they can get. There is no birth date, but I'd say she's probably 45. She teaches creative writing at York College, Pennsylvania. Okay, she wrote Lando's Luck, Flight of the Falcon, Spark of the Resistance, Journey to Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, A Test of Courage, High Republic, Out of the Shadows, High Republic. Yeah. I'm shocked. I'm shocked because normally when someone goes into the military and they have these preconceived notions of other people that are, basically hateful, they usually end up realizing how wrong they are and then kind of work it out. But this woman is a pure on, dead on racist. She is a dead on racist. I can't. All right, I'll give you more of her bio. Ireland holds a BA in history from Armstrong Atlantic State University. Sorry. And a master's of the fine arts in writing for children and young adults from Hamlin University, where she wrote a thesis on microaggressions in children's literature. She's currently pursuing a PhD in English Lit. Microaggressions in kids' literature. Somebody gave her money out of the goodness of their heart so she could sit in a library trying to figure out where all the microaggressions were in Dr. Seuss. Okay. All right. Okay. You know what'd be really fun? I wish my husband was I wonder if we could actually get her DD-214. I'd like to see what her military. Oh, I know. I'd like to see her military record. That'd be fun. Anyway, so that's one of them. Daniel Jose older. So she's got to be. I'm going to give her a break and say she's like maybe 40. Daniel Jose. Daniel Josephine older. Oh, I know. This is just. Oh, he's a composer too. Yay! I wonder, could we find his stuff on iTunes? Because I really want to download it. Not said no one ever. All right, let's find this out. All right. No age. They don't. The only one who put their age down was dipshit. Said 1970, big bold letters. All right, let's find bio. There is no bio. It's just career. All right, he was an EMT in New York City. He wrote a book or a collection of stories called Salsa Nocturna. But, these guys. All right, he wrote. He started a petition to change World Fantasy Award statuette from a bust of H.P. Lovecraft to one of African American author Octavia Butler, whom I've never heard of, because of Lovecraft's racism. Oh, this guy. I mean, so this guy, what I'm doing is I'm trying to explain to you what kind of people these people are, all right? They are unsuited for Star Wars because you've got Justina Ireland looking for microaggressions in kids' literature. You've got Claudia Gray. I didn't really read her. I'll go back and look at her education, but let's what the fuck? Why not? We're sitting here. We can look. Okay, come on. Claudia Pig. All right, let's see. No, it's got her career. There's no bio. Really, it's very, nothing about her education. Nothing. So we've got, I would assume she got an education like in women's writing or feminist writing or something like that, because she's way too much. And I'm going to tell you something, back in the day when I was in college, because was probably in college same time she was. They were starting this women's studies intersectional bullshit. Critical race theory was on the agenda. All right. This is the woman that wrote a ship called the Vessel. Call it a ship. That's what. Was that filler because you fuckers didn't. See, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. It's not just lazy. It's intentional apathy because they know it's not going anywhere. They know it's not. You can't write that shit and you can't possibly tell me you think as an author that it's going anywhere, that this is good. Okay? I'm like, you know, but we do know that Crazy Justina spent time in the library doing her master's thesis on microaggressions in children's literature. If I was on Twitter, I would land on her like a sumo wrestler out of that. I would destroy her. I'm going to tell you something about college and universities. The more you bullshit, the more A's you get. Okay? You start thinking for yourself. And and I have cool professors that were like, you get an A on that. That's really great. I don't know if I agree with it, but that's really great. But if you start thinking for yourself, there are professors out there that will crush you. And it looks to me like on our campus, when I was going to college, there were a lot of left-wing activist assholes. And some of them were teachers. But, you know, I remember telling one of my German professors, I got a B in his class. And I think the reason why I got a B, I don't take to languages naturally. I don't have a natural ear. I have to live literally have to live where English truly is a second language, where I'm learning the native language in order to understand it so I can get fluent. I mean, that's just me. He was trying to explain to one of the guys that was actually one of the Republican, he was like, I think the president of the Republican student group at school, and he and I were talking. Oh, she could. And we were talking about gun control. And I said, it's really funny that we're talking about the history of it, and then professor walks up and he gets involved and he goes, well, Hitler allowed everybody to have guns. I'm like, then why were the Jews dragged away? No, he didn't. I'm like, I looked at my friend because he was a freshman in this class. I go look it up. Go look that up. Go do it. So he did it. And then he called out the professor for lying. And he did say, you lied about that. I looked at Dean and I said, that was the professor's name. Don't do that anymore. Don't sit there and try to rewrite history to fit your worldview. I'm not doing, yes, you are doing that. Fucking quit it. I didn't say fucking, but I said, quit it, okay? It was after my dad died. So I was a little bit at everybody, but that really just pissed me off. But they do it all the time because they don't think you'll go look up what the real answer is. We have a big library at the university. Guess what? In one of those books, you'll find the answer. And guess what? You can walk that book back to the professor and say, and here's the primary source that proves it. So when I look at what she wrote about, even back in the late 80s, early 90s, I can see someone actually coming up with that microaggressions in children's lit. Let's just think about it. So, okay, But, you know, I can't wait to see. I mean, I think her book is already out too. I don't know if they've done their video on that, but that'll be funny. They're getting pummeled. Now, I'm going to tell you something. We will be told we chased them off of Instagram because they pulled it off of Instagram, like I said. And we did. And the reason why is because they can't take the truth. This is lazy, apathetic shit. We don't like it. We don't want to see it. What the actual fuck is wrong with you people? Okay? And there you go. It's very interesting to me how these people get away, I think, with pretending when we know they're not. Oh, it's been on their website. It has. So they can't uh, get comments. You can't, they can't, because the moment it landed on Midnight's Edge, everybody ran over there and started pounding them. And they knew it was like a piranha feeding, a school of piranhas feeding, you know. And it's just, I mean, and then you've got, yeah, and they won't put it on YouTube. Can you imagine them putting it on YouTube? Oh my God! First off, it's literally the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. You can't be serious. You can't. So I went and looked. I belong to Barnes and Noble's email list, and the High Republic did not show up in any of their best YA bestsellers anywhere. Yeah, the vessel is called the only called the vessel. Translated, I'm Claudia Gray, and I can't fucking think up a good name for a ship. Yeah, and I hate to say it, Kathleen Kennedy's the one to blame for this. She is. And when I listened to all of his comments, and then Andre read them. I think it was Andre yesterday. Chapek's comments. To me, that was the kiss of death for Kennedy. And for those guys who haven't heard this before, when someone is about to get the boot on Capitol Hill, at the White House, at a big company, whatever, they're usually like, you'll have, I don't know, let's say like, I'll give you an example. I used it yesterday on live. You've got Anthony Weiner getting caught sending dick pics on Twitter to random underage girls. Andrew Breitbart, God bless his soul, is alerted to this. Okay, so, all right, she's 42. I was right. I caught it. I said she's about 40. 42. Yeah. You get Andrew collected all of the receipts and started dripping the information out. And Weiner was caught flat-footed. Weiner's an idiot, by the way. Why would you go on Twitter? And that was back when Twitter was cool, before the advent of Jack. Anyway, so we got that going. And when it was happening, the Democrats at first rallied around him. They stood by him, Anthony Weiner and all the rest of the stuff. I remember Pelosi saying, we're very happy with Anthony Weiner. And Steny Hoyer, Anthony's doing a fine job, and all that shit. 2 days later, at one of the big hotels in New York, there was going to be a big press conference. And Breitbart, strangely enough, happened to be in town. So he walks over there, and he's standing in the back. Oh, he does. He has his Disney shares. And Andrew is suddenly thrown up and told, you get up there and address the crowd. Wiener never showed up. So Andrew takes questions from the reporters. And, well, Kate, I'm going to tell you something about that. And a few days later, Wiener resigned. And then he had to go to a sex addiction camp or some shit. The reason, all right, Kate, the reason why Chapek couldn't tell the truth, couldn't say what's really going on, is because if he did, and what context and where was he speaking? I want you to understand, listen to me closely. He was talking to Morgan Stanley at a technology thing. He was talking to an investor. Okay, he can't, listen closely, can't say a word. Because if he did, he'd tank the stock. Okay, then he'd have to go back to the board of directors and have to explain himself. Okay. Yeah, I know that. And don't have a hissy fit over it, Kate. What, again, listen to me. What the actual fuck was he supposed to do? Okay? Let him do what he can to mitigate Disney's loss. I don't care if you agree or not on what I said. All right, you go be the CEO of Disney. You go up to Morgan Stanley in front of all those people who move billions of dollars around for Disney and say, Kathleen Kennedy's tanked Star Wars. Lucasfilm is in the shitter. They're in the red. Blah, blah, blah. You know what? Disney shares will go into the crash. That's what's going to happen. And guess what? You'll lose your job. Okay? And anybody who's bitching and moaning and crying, well, he didn't for a reason. Okay? He wants them to think everything's okay. That's why. God, it would be considered unprofessional to do that. It would be considered job suicide because he would get kicked out. You know, you can't, you know, and in that same breath, and you haven't mentioned this, she mentioned Jon Favreau. So, yeah, and he's protecting the company. And I'm going to say this. Kennedy I don't think she gives a shit about the money earned, about the money they're bringing in. I don't think there's a reason why I used the Ayn Rand quote in my community page, because there are people out there who can't accept reality. Just wait. And I gotta hook this up because it's my phone. The one thing about Apple phones is they tend to have weak batteries. Anyway, Chapek mentioned Favreau. He mentioned some guy named Sean, and I think he mentioned Dave Filoni. So, but he can't. I don't think he can't not mention her. I think if he didn't mention her, that would probably tank the stocks. It's not exactly. It's what isn't said that's bigger than what's said. Okay, in that, and those people don't know. Maybe they don't know. Maybe they have seen the backlash. You know, she's just got a complex. She's a tiny little woman um, who is very unhappy. I thought she was really tall. I always thought she was a glamazon. I mean, I thought she was at least like 5'10". She's a shorty. 5'3". My God. I mean, yeah. I mean, you can't. And I don't think Morgan Stanley was a Merrill Lynch, but it was Morgan Stanley. I don't think they would ask that, but I don't think making money for Disney matters to her. I don't think making Lucasfilm successful for her is a big deal to her. I think her ideology and legacy are bigger. And to me, I don't think women can have a Napoleon complex, but if anyone did, it would be her. I'm serious. You know, all this stuff is really quite interesting to me. Okay. It's quite fascinating to me. And it's one of those things where you're like, when you start kind of, why do you do this and why do you do that? But you got to remember, she is not accepting reality. She can't be. I mean, when they did the High Republic Initiative and it crashed, and, the idea that they're blaming the arrival of Luke Skywalker for it to be a shit storm. No, maybe someone did. I don't know. But I gotta tell you, man, I don't think High Republic would be successful even if Cal Kestis showed up with that to take Grogu. Okay? I think it would have been very, like, everybody would have been like, oh, it's Cal, big deal, or whatever. But oh yeah, I know, John. I mean, but hey, that article says she was, you know, it wasn't Luke. It was the fact that this stupid fucking High Republic is stupid. It's retarded. Okay? Yeah, Disney is having huge issues. I mean, they really, really are. I mean, if I was a stock analyst, I'd be like, don't buy Disney stock. Don't. Don't. In fact, I asked my broker if my husband and I had it, and I haven't heard back from him yet, but I honestly think that they know this is the end for that section of Lucasfilm. I do. I really, really do. Because I gotta say this last novel, and it's this shitty writing is just a message to the fans. I mean, Claudia Gray knows how much we hate her. She knows that we know she hates Han and Luke. I mean, if you look at Bloodline, you got Han and Leia behaving like 5-year-olds. You got Han not living at home, not being there, because I'm sure that's how her parents grew up. That she's probably the daughter of divorce, who daddy abandoned me, all the rest of that shit. And she's probably a very unhappy person that way. You know, I don't think China's going to be in the mood to buy anything. Okay, let's not talk about that right now. Well, Brian, that book has been written for, I mean, they waited to put that out there. They were going to open it sooner. They were going to put it out there sooner. And it just, they waited and they waited. And then Skywalker showed up. And then, they had, and they have somebody to blame now. I mean, and, you know, this whole thing with Gina Carano just brought everything to a head. I mean, you know, and if there's somebody from Lucasfilm watching, I want to ask you, why do you hate us so much? If you hate Star Wars, hate the fans, why are you here? I mean, why aren't you working at something you love? If you want to be an activist, get off of Twitter. Stop writing novels and then, start a nonprofit. All right? Go join Black Lives Matters. Get on their board. Work for them. You want to join Antifa? Fuck, go join Antifa. You know, go join some LGBTQ, XYZ, RBL, A, whatever group. Okay? Really? I mean, it it's not that difficult. If you want to be an activist, bloody hell, go be an activist. Same thing with Pablo Hidalgo. You know, you hate us, you don't like your job. I mean, you really don't like your job. The product that you oversaw with this High Republic nonsense, silly nonsense, it proves it. You can't possibly think that's good. Honestly, no one can. But yet here we are. You know, it yeah, yeah. Well, hey, Mazarius, let me catch you up. So, we're talking about the fact that they took that High Republic trailer, the laxative gay guy and Vessel and Rock off of Instagram. Instagram. They took it down, and and then I started talking about the youth cult. Like Ward and Fletcher and Brian Young and all them. Jason Ward is 42. Brian Young is 41. Pete Fletcher is about between 55 and 60 years old. Claudia Gray is my age. She's 50. Okay. Claudia Gray is 50. Justina Ireland is 42. I don't know how old Daniel Jose Older is, but we were looking. And do you remember back when they opened up Galaxy's Edge and they had Harrison, Mark, and Billy D and George show up, and Fletcher and Ward were going back and forth, diabetes and all the rest of the shit, and mocking them, and Ward saying, I love these guys, but why are they there? They're so old. I mean, I have the receipts. I have those tweets. Jason Ward is 42 years old. Okay. He's middle-aged. Okay? He's middle fucking aged. And so is Brian Young. So, think about it. Kathy Kennedy is 67. She's also 5'3". So she must wear some pretty high heels because I always thought she was taller than that. I mean, and we're talking about, what the, like they didn't take it seriously. It's not a serious a bit of writing. It's not serious. It's not serious Star Wars, etc., etc. And because it's really not. And it's just really. Oh yeah, she did. Yeah, David, you're right. She did. That's exactly what she did. And it's just, she hired people. I mean, oh, here's one for you, Maze. This will make you laugh. So I went on Justine Ireland's Wikipedia page. She got her master's thesis in, guess what? Get ready. You're going to laugh your ass off. Microaggressions in children's literature. All right, go contemplate that. Go contemplate the wasted money on that. And she's teaching at the university in York, like right down the street from where I live. I could go and talk to her, and it's really, so yeah, you know what? We ever go shopping down there because there's a gun shop down there? Yep, microaggressions in children's literature. Oh, Lawrence, the left likes to say that if you're, like when they were, do you remember when, well, no, I won't, that's not a good one. That your hate for somebody because they're black, white, red, yellow, purple, chartreuse spots, or gay, or bi, or non-binary, fucking weird shit. He breathes, that's a microaggression. That the micro expressions in your eyes are really microaggressions. You know, yeah, well, or when she posted all that stuff about her stupid novel and was like, if you don't want to read it, don't buy it. Okay, fine, I'm not going to buy it. She was, she posted, there was on her bio, drowning in a sea of despair or something like that. It's like, oh yeah, I know. It was invented by a generation who spent all their time online and can't actually read expressions. Like if I was looking at Justina Ireland, I'd be like, that's not a microaggression. That's a what the fuck expression, and I'm not hiding it. I'd be looking at Claudia Gray going, oh, you know, David, I'm sorry, but that's what I think. Because when you go and read what she says, go and read what she says about Haldo. And I thought it was insulting too, but I bet you that's why. Haldo is a very, just a weird character. And but it's just like everything else that Kennedy's minions over at Lucasfilm tried to do. It's trash. It's fucking trash. And that character is trash. But I gotta tell you, Claudia Gray, she's 50 years old. She's not an attractive woman on purpose. She lives in a pink house, I guess, in New Orleans, much to my friend Michael Alonzo's deep despair. And she has a cat, and a Grant says she and oh god, there's another Star Wars writer, it's not E.K. Johnston. It might be, no, it's not. It's somebody else. It's the one with really short hair. She's very, very proud to be a cat lady, a single fat cat lady. And that's what Claudia Gray is. She is a blue-haired land whale, single cat fat lady. And it's, it's watching her descend into that feminazi kind of, construct, persona is actually kind of funny. It really is kind of funny. So, I'm just sitting here going, you know, but yeah, I mean, if you look at what she wrote, what she's written for Star Wars, Lost Stars actually has people asking if someone banged somebody else. It's a YA novel, and people actually doing the deed. It's a YA novel. You look at Claudia Gray and going, are you just working out your sexual frustrations? I mean, battery operated boyfriend network. Are you waiting for a new one in the mail? I mean, these are questions that should be answered. You know, uh, and then, she wrote, yeah, and that's exactly true. This woman would rather write garbage like that to get kids interested in garbage and not really exploring how to be an adult, how to be an adult. I don't know. I don't know, Massachina. I don't know. Um, uh, instead of that, instead of the is the rock a boy or a girl or non-binary? I need to know. Um, these are questions that should be asked too. Oh God, someone should ask Gray that on Twitter. One of you guys need to ask her, and then make sure I see it. Instead of Claudia Gray would rather have kids talking about sex, not and she has that in this book. Lex is bugging the Jedi about Jedi sex because that's what it's only about, and that's it. You know, instead of writing about the Jedi and about the Force and doing hyperspace correctly, she's more worried about conversations about fucking. Okay, not the hero's journey. Well, if you go back and read A.C. Crispin's novel, the Hutts were hermaphrodites. I mean, they basically were able to reproduce on their own. And that's, Brian, that's too bad. When I was a kid, I used to read young adult novels, and there was one called Pounding Hooves about this girl in high school who was walking to go to the bus stop, and the people next door had just bought this gorgeous Arabian mare. And it was all about that. And she's in high school. And it was about maneuvering around the high school bullshit. And she loves this horse. There's a boy she wants to go out with. This rich girl is her basically her enemy. It's typical high school bullshit, but it wasn't a bad book. And there wasn't any sex in it. It was romantic. I mean, when you've got characters in Sex and the City, Miranda, the one I hate the most, saying, "True romance without sex cannot exist." Okay, let's talk about this. Let's go back, get into our little way back machine and figure this out. Romance should have that at the end, not in the beginning, at the end. Okay, that's the problem with that statement. Okay, and anybody who puts that much value into the end game doesn't really understand love, commitment, etc., etc. Okay, that's what romance is really all about. It's, and, I have never seen any of those. Messachina, I haven't seen, if that's how you pronounce your name. But Gray doesn't know anything about it. And I know if she went to college that she had to sit through a lot of romantic literature like I did. Like, one of my all-time favorite, he wasn't a romantic poet, but he wrote what I think is a romantic poem, W.B. Yeats. And it starts out, when you are old and weary, blah, blah, blah. And it's basically he's telling someone that he loved, that you get the feeling that there was no, that the emotion wasn't aimed back at him. And basically, he basically said, it's basically about how he looked at her. Hey, Dave, and it's really, ah, poor Disney. Ah, you know, it's basically how Yeats looked at this woman. And even the nastiest writers, the nastiest people, Lord Byron, She Walks in Beauty as the Night, Percy Bysshe Shelley, John Keats, who wasn't nasty, Shakespeare, those sonnets, you know, and Casablanca. Now, we all know that Rick and Elsa in Paris were doing the wild thing, right? They were humping and pumping. But did we have to see it? Did we have to know all the gory details? Was that more important than their relationship? No. You know, modern feminism, and I'm going to blame Hugh Hefner on this too, reduced Dance with No Pants, reduced love and sex to an unfeeling act of self-aggrandizement. You know? And it's not that way. Okay? And it shouldn't be that way. But because the more, it's really funny. I think there have been studies that said the more pornography you see, the more sex you read, the less you want to have it. That makes sense. There's something in the brain that just shuts off. Okay? And millennials, it's really funny, but I've also heard that there have been studies out there saying that they don't like it. You know, well, no, sex in marriage or between two people who love each other is a beautiful thing, and it's a sacred thing. And Hugh Hefner and people like Claudia Gray and, you know, all these other people have put it into such a place where they've devalued the sacredness to where it doesn't exist. Okay, and that's wrong. That's not romantic. Okay, you watch Sex and the City, as much as I like that show, those are 4 women who bought the bullshit. All right, you know, you got Carrie and her, you know, fuck buddy, and he's an idiot. He's a moron, but he's really good in bed. So there you go. And she tries to have a relationship with him, and you know the reality that you can't because he's an idiot. Okay, well, there's a lesson learned. You know, and Samantha, she ends up with Smith. Smith is a lot younger than her, by a lot. But I'm going to say this, Kim Cattrall is a very beautiful woman. And I didn't have any problem with that. She loved him. We were just talking about romance and everything, but she wouldn't stay with him because she bought the hook, line, and sinker that she had to keep finding new conquests. First off, women can't think like that. So that character's fucked up in the head anyway. we're talking about the fact, Maze, that Claudia Gray has to insert vulgarity and sexual issues into everything she writes. And it really is something that shouldn't be in a Star Wars novel. She put it in Lost Stars. She put it in, in this latest one with the Lex, G string, whatever the fuck his name is. And it's like, this is, no. I mean, apparently he's asking the Jedi about, well, can you have relationships or whatever? And I'm going to say this. The Jedi, from what I remember, can have relationships, but they can't be attached. They can't have attachment. That is not to say that they can just fuck anything under the stars. And basically, what the story group is saying is they can fuck anything under the stars. That behavior is not the Jedi way. Okay. But we're talking about people who obviously don't know shit about Star Wars and just created a dumpster fire. And I think, I'm going to take a vote. You guys think that this High Republic is just a fuck you to the fans, yes or no? Because I do. I really, really do. Especially after this travesty that Claudia Gray produced. I mean, and I guess they've really trashed Yoda too, from what I heard. I really do think that it's a fuck you to the fans because it's lazy. Yeah, you're right. It's lazy. It's intentionally stupid. You can't possibly think this is smart. You can't possibly think this is a good story. I mean, I'm like, what? That's how I feel about it. It's just awful. I'm like, you've got, no, wait a minute, Anton. The EU had good writers. Troy Denning, Timothy Zahn, A.C. Crispin. They had a lot of really good writers. Kevin Anderson. These guys stayed within the universe. Yeah. All right, I got you there. Alan Dean Foster, and then we've got people who would rather write about something they can't have, which is sex. If you're a single guy and you had your choice between Justine Ireland or Claudia Gray, which would you choose? These two women intentionally make themselves look ugly so men won't be attracted to them. That is intentional. They're, if you ever look at Claudia Gray when she's posing with other people, Mace, she looks so awkward. Looks so socially awkward. Like the picture of her standing in front of Skywalker Ranch. And she just is standing there like this. It's just, I'm like, this is bad. She's a weird person. But then Justine Ireland is too. Then Daniel Jose Older is too. These guys are not, like I said, if you want to be an activist, by all means, go be an activist. But you're not going to be a Star Wars writer. You can't write novels. You either, started a nonprofit for sexualizing children. Okay, Claudia? All right? Just don't write for Star Wars. I mean, it's simple as a pimple. I mean, you know, I'm just, and then all right, again, I'm going to remind you guys, they did take that video down off of Insta because they were getting killed in the comments there. And it's only up at starwars.com. And it's basically there for people to mock on their own channels till the cows come home. I mean, you know, I mean, you can't objectively, you can't possibly think that any of this is good. Okay, you just can't. And I honestly, I'm going to say this. I think they know it's not good. Okay. I think they just wrote a bunch of shit. Because Pablo is supposed to be like the mother hen to these people. The hyperspace thing. What? Didn't he tell Claudia that's not how it works? And so I think it was intentionally bad to say fuck you to the fans. And to me, I think they know it's over. I think they know it is. I think that if they actually put some effort into writing a good story, into creating great characters, that they might have actually had something a little more palatable for the consumer. You know, I didn't see anything like I get emails from Barnes and Noble. They send me an email. And the last one was the stuff about our biggest selling YA novels. No High Republic. None. Last month, the same thing. Yeah, I mean, you can't. To proudly put your name on it, and then to say, here, Disney, pay me. If someone paid me to write a new Han Solo origin story, well, no, I mean, she knew, Kathleen Kennedy knew perfectly well that the EU was there, that all the comics from Marvel to Dark Horse were there. And she just chose to lie. She chose to fucking lie out loud. And then, she came back and said, oh, we have to go back to the beginning. There's so much source material. It's like, but you've said, bitch, that there wasn't any source material. And here's the question. If that's the case, why is the High Republic so bad? I mean, why? You know what I'm saying? She turns around and says, there is source material and we're going back to basics. George's blah, blah, blah. She said that. And it's like, you, bitch, shorty, said there wasn't any source material. You said that. Now, you said that either just outright lies so you wouldn't have to acknowledge the EU, or you said that because you're so fucking stupid you didn't know. But here we are. It's really interesting to me. And as far as these going forward, they're not going to go forward. They really, really aren't. I mean, it's really, ridiculous for them to even think that Bob Chapek, who is a well-known penny pincher, I know that, but they still... Mrs. Cena, do you think that money at Disney just grows on trees? Do you think they've got like a tree orchard in the back? Bob Iger and Chapek just pull $100 bills out of trees every day? Put them in big wicker, wicker material, bags, big wicker baskets. No. Disney, no, they don't believe that. who's they? Bob Chapek knows that they don't. All right. He's a guy that actually comes from the accounting side. Okay. God, it's like talking to a wall sometimes. They don't have any money coming in. None. Okay. They're literally bleeding money. Hey, Sin and Dave, they can't make anything like what she wants to make with her High Republic because it's already proven that it's not profitable. So they're not going to make it. No matter how hard she tries to steal Favreau's budget, they're not going to do it. Okay, they can't. They can't. I mean, all you gotta do is look at where's the High Republic on Amazon's bestseller list. You can't find it in the top 600, if even that. Okay, that's how unsuccessful this shit is. Okay, you know, we'll have trolls show up going, "Oh, the High Republic is great." Disney, Lucasfilm is in the black, but no, they're not. They're not. So, Maze, should I explain how much it costs to produce and market a movie, and then the difference between net box office and gross box office? Okay, let's go. The Force Awakens made $2.4 billion. It cost, from what I saw, $335 million to make. Half that goes into marketing. So you've got about $500 and some odd million dollars to produce and market The Force Awakens. So then it goes out to the theaters. The theaters here take 35%, 30%. Theaters across all over the world take between 40 and 60. The movie makes $2.06 billion. Or 2.6, yeah, about $2.06 billion, 2.07. Hi, at that point, it's the highest grossing movie of all time. Probably net about $700 million. Rogue One probably net, when you add up the costs and theatrical theater take, probably made about 200 million. And then you've got The Last Jedi, which probably made maybe 100 million. Then you've got Solo, a Soy War story, that lost 250 million. And you've got Tross, which barely limped over the $1 billion line, that probably made about $200 million. Net box office combined for all 5 movies is probably about 1.5 billion. And if you've got you invested not only 4.3 billion to buy Lucasfilm, but then you invested up to $2 billion in those in Galaxy's Edge, you're gonna be like, you know, that's reality. That is reality. There are people out there that, you know, I'll call him out, Jason Ward. He's 42 years old. He's middle-aged. Why is he still hanging out in Star Wars? Why is he bothering with it? You've got people like him that try to put it out there otherwise. But that's the truth. You know, if you're going to invest money, you've got to be prepared for the good and the bad news. And you have to have the truth. Because your livelihood, I mean, you might have your livelihood caught up in investments. You know, retirement caught up in investments. You have to know the truth. You can't sit there and expect people to blow sunshine up your ass about how good a property's doing when it's crashing and burning. All right, that's just not done. It's not the way it happens. And this latest hilarity concerning the High Republic is just it just proves they can't do it. They're Kennedy has literally shot her wad. Okay, and it's bad. You know, and so anyway, I'm losing my voice. I gotta take the cone head out to go do his diety. He has to go pee pee, and probably try to get a workout in or something. So anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. Behave, be well, and you know, just I mean, this High Republic stuff is just funny. You know, it's just really just hysterical when you think about it. Anyway, see you guys later, and I love you all. See you around the galaxy. Behave. Have a good night. Ooh, one more thing. I'm probably going to be on Echo Base watching, and if they get to pop-ins, I'll jump in. So, you know, we'll see. All right, we'll see if I can jump in if it's not too late. So anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. See you.